Hey Ratbaggers, it's Jade going over the latest news about ATOMFALL. Really enjoyed the game, been doing lots of guides in it. You guys seem to be really enjoying it as well. Give me some of my best views I've had in a good few months. So thank you for watching. There was a hotfix today. Not a big update and sadly nothing that's fixing maybe some of the audio stuff that a lot of players and reviewers have complained about. But it does look like they know about it and they're going to fix it hopefully soon. So I'm going to rattle off just the small hotfixes, talk about the known issues, and then I'll probably give you a bit of a lowdown on what I think about the game in a bit more detail. I've never actually done a full review or first impressions like I normally would, quite frankly, because I didn't get the game until 3 days pretty much before it released, and I was busy with other games. So I wanted to make sure I obviously completed it. I have spent 20 maybe 5 hours playing the game, got every single ending now. Love the game, think it's great, definitely still feel like it could be done with adding just a few bits more. But it's good to see that they're also celebrating 1.5 million players have tried it, apparently Rebellion's best launch in terms of players playing. So yes, if there's a big chunky update in the future, I will cover it. We know we've got DLC in the future as well, I'm looking forward to that. But let's go in what you need to know now. So yep, an update should have gone live for everyone pretty much today across platforms. Game stability improvements, resolve some issues with suspend resume on Xbox platforms, fix an issue where ladders and other objects would go missing in the data stores of the interchange. They know about the issues with audio cutting out during gameplay, they're trying to get that fixed right now. So, known issues, audio outages for some players, subtitles disappearing too quickly for some languages, the map sometimes gets stuck on one region, using Molotov cocktails occasionally crashes the game. Wyndham Village, players struggling to leave the bakery. Interchange, robotics door is inaccessible after exiting and returning. At the interchange, Dr. Holder, some players unable to leave medical tunnels due to lack of health and health items. And they've said that this doesn't affect all players, but definitely some are experiencing it. Of course, if you have got a bug that's not listed here and you think it's pretty bad, then obviously go ahead and report it. So yeah, a couple of days ago, the ATOMFALL Twitter account posted this. Over 1.5 million you have enjoyed ATOMFALL since launch. A pleasure having you observe protocol in Wyndham. Now it might be a bit surprising to some because its peak player count from the actual Steam is pretty much only literally 6,095. For a single player game, that's not terrible, but it's not exactly setting the world alight. But of course, we know that ATOMFALL was heavily advertised as being part of the Game Pass on Xbox, and on PlayStation it's been big as well because, quite frankly, it's managed to launch on both systems, the PS4 and the PS5. Admittedly, there might be more issues with the PS4 version, and I've heard a little bit more in my comments that some of you guys having issues, particularly on Xbox One as well. So you can label it maybe a mistake, they shouldn't have released it, but at the end of the day, I'm going to give you a nice stat that I use a lot, and it's still relevant, you can look it up yourself. 40% of all PSN users, players that actually buy PlayStation Plus and stuff, use the network to play games, they're still playing on their PS4. So this idea that only games should release on a newer gen or older gen is holding things back, I wouldn't say so. ATOMFALL is a lovely game, I think it's beautiful in places. I don't think it's the technological marvel though that you've seen some games that maybe require them to be on next gen. So I'm just pointing that out there. It doesn't maybe have huge players on Steam. I reckon that equates to probably about, I would say, 100,000 players maybe have bought the game. But yes, the big player counts are going to be on Xbox with players playing it on Game Pass. And I would imagine that there'll be more chance of more people picking it up because it is on older gen. And overall, yes, I really enjoyed ATOMFALL. I felt like it had something really unique, especially if you played it on default setting, not having handheld, giving you literally icons pop up every 2 seconds, telling you to go here, do this, do that. Something really different from Assassin's Creed. Even though Shadows has tried to do that a bit better recently, it still had a little bit of that in. So it was nice playing ATOMFALL. Not really enough of a survival for me though. It had been billed as a survival RPG game, but really without any kind of either food or water mechanics or maybe any kind of base defense stuff, it's hard pressed to really clarify it as a full survival game. For sure you got to forage and maybe scrounge for bullets and stuff, which are limited supply, but I think it would be nice to see some of these mechanics added, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm hoping that they'll do some sort of big update where they'll add things like New Game Plus. It'd be great to see some of the enemies become tougher. Maybe they can mix things up a little bit. This is the other thing. ATOMFALL is a short game. It can take some players apparently 5 hours because there's an achievement for it if you do it under that time. But the average is about 14 to 15 hours to get through the game with one ending. Of course, there's 6 different endings to go for. If you want to check out all of them, I actually streamed 5 of them, and I'll be doing a video recapping how to do it all or showing them all off soon. But they do kind of lose the replayability factor in this game, because quite frankly, once you played it a couple of times, or at least once even, you kind of know where to go for clues and where you picked up stuff, unless you really ran through it very quickly. And especially if you're the type of player that likes to clear a zone out before moving on to the next, I think you've probably gone and rattled through the game, and you might not feel like there's much reason to replay it unless you really want to get them different endings. So the advice I've been giving to people that popped into my live streams is to basically follow one lead and stick with it. So if you come across an NPC, try and do everything they want, and that way you can go and approach another fresh play by focusing on another NPC, rather than effectively talking to everyone, learning all the story, and then just being left with a choice at the end where you kind of know what to do next time as well. I would say the endings, they're not all that either. It amounts pretty much to just having one little interaction with an NPC, a tiny little extra cutscene and slight addition to the end slate, but nothing like, I would say, like made me really think, wow, that was a great end to that story. Although it will confirm some people you can trust and some people you can't. So maybe there can be a way they can remix stuff. What if they had a way to have New Game Plus, but they actually put some of the clues in different spots? Maybe they even change just battery locations, and certain NPCs will only give you batteries in certain places now. One of the earliest batteries you can get is by killing the Druid Priestess in the castle ruins. So imagine if that was moved to another NPC in the upper part of the castle. Just something a little bit to keep a replayability a bit fresh. So that's definitely one to see, if they definitely add some sort of New Game Plus. Not just make enemies tougher or resources more scarce, we've already got the veteran mode for that. But really give us something a bit different. Typical hardcore mode where you only got 1 life maybe. Or what about if they added it manually, literally, there was only melee weapons. No guns in the game whatsoever. Enemies could maybe shoot you with their guns, but they wouldn't drop any. So you'd be forced to think about how to play the game differently with just melee weapons. What if they added more bonuses for stealth? Will they do all that? I'm not too sure. I'm not really someone that's followed a lot of Rebellion games in the past. I've never been into the Sniper Elite series. I know they support that game with multiplayer and maybe season pass and content and stuff, but I presume they will be adding some content to it since it's now become one of the most popular or most played games. And we know we have got the DLC in the future. If you hadn't realised this, or maybe not seen that there was different versions to buy, if you bought the Deluxe Edition, it came with the Wicked Isles Story Expansion Pack, which obviously is not going to be here maybe anytime soon. But yeah, I'm totally down for playing this. I definitely want to explore more of ATOMFALL, and I can't wait to see if they can add even more or a sequel. I think the story can actually be played out even further, exploring a new town, more new mysteries. There's a lot they could do. For sure though, really enjoyed my time. It was nice following some of these clues and trying to work stuff out myself. It did get to a point where I was just blazing through with all my different guns, even though I'd been kind of led to believe that bullets would be hard to come by, which they can be if you're using only one gun. But top tip is to just make sure you've got one of every kind on you: a pistol, a shotgun, the auto rifle and an SMG. And as long as you're switching it up frequently, you pretty much never have an opportunity to really run out of bullets by the time you start getting and exploring a couple more of the zones. I did quite enjoy some of the NPC interactions. For once I didn't skip them like I normally do in other games. They're quite quirky and fun. Would have been nice to find even more kind of villagers that had some kind of side stories and stuff. And overall, I just want more actually, to be fair. I just want another game, another DLC. I could easily spend another 20 hours playing something very similar. But you guys let me know what you think about the game overall. Let me know what you think about potentially DLC, and if you've got any major bugs or issues. Until next time, Ratbags, I'll catch you later.